All righty, welcome back to another episode of A Warrior Spirit, where we allow the inner warrior to shine in their light. Today, we're doing part 2 with Elena Rodriguez, painting on her smile. In our last episode, we talked about the turmoil you experienced growing up and how it affected you as a teenager, and how you just kind of had to lean into your faith and push forward. So I appreciate you coming back to tell part 2 of this beautiful story.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's pretty amazing when you got so much you could like fill up 2 of your episodes.
Yeah, well, our life's really truly could just be a book. I think that I think we all have a story in us that could fill up some spaces. So I appreciate you sharing yours. As I said last time, we talked about your upbringing and your childhood and kind of where that led you. We also talked about how you had this injury to your neck, and how are you from that currently?
The injury is good. The neck, still gets the little crinks here and there, but at least I know what it is, and I can deal with it. Just can't stay in a certain position too long, or it's like but yeah, my neck is metal. Bionic woman over here.
Yeah, it makes traveling fun with 2 plates in my own
little card.
Yeah, I get a little, it's I often wonder when they look at the x-ray, and they see these 2 little plates with 8 screws, like what they must think. But so as you've grown into your adulthood and into your business, I know that you initially were focused on coaching and speaking, and that's kind of morphed now into also still a speaker, but a radio show host, and now in a new loving relationship, and also with a different business that still involves personal development, but it's not in the coaching realm per se. Can you explain that one a little bit?
Yeah, it's amazing because if we're in this space of the coaching and the author and the speaking, you meet incredible people, you have amazing opportunities, and it's the place to be, right? And I still feel that way, but I had to do something that was unique for me. I had to do something that would bring joy into my life every day. And sometimes those things that are so close to you that you don't think are a big deal, we just miss them. And so after talking about my neck surgery and coming across that photo with my scar so fresh, it was like 2 days later, but man, I still had my lipstick on, and it just dawned on me that as much confidence, coaching, and self-esteem, and leadership, and all this pushing and go, it could be done in a different way. And so for me, it's lipstick. So I created a kind of a test trial thing. I created this lipstick line. I had 50 colors. I thought, let me just try it out and see what happens. And the response was amazing. But what I realized is I put a lot of color theory behind the lipsticks you wear, because whether you realize it or not, you're going to pick ones based on how you feel that day. But what people don't realize is pick ones in what you want to feel. Okay, so what I mean by that is if you're a speaker and you've got to lead a crowd, or you've got to grab attention, but your life is a freaking hot mess, you have to grab a lipstick color that represents the power you want people to pick up on, and not generally how you're feeling. So when I started combining all these elements, and then realized like I can have my events, I can have my social things all through lipstick. And now it's turned into what I call my perfect 10 challenge. Like a lot of businesses, you have that challenge, you have that lead magnet, you have people coming in. Mine is a perfect 10 challenge, and I'm actually doing confidence and self-esteem coaching while women are having fun with lipsticks. And it's been almost like genius on my part, but that was all God's doing, because
Yeah.
for me, I just kind of walked with what worked for me. And I think sometimes people in this space miss the things that are unique to them that could set their work apart from other people. And that's what's happened for me. So now I have like a cosmetics company that is growing on its own, of people that are just purchasing product that don't know me really. So that's an income stream, but yet I promote it to get to know people and do fun community stuff. And it's selling product, but it's actually coaching. So it's gotten the best of both worlds.
Well, what I love about you and, you know, the essence that you bring to everything is that you do it from a heart center. Even amongst the turmoil that you grew up in and the adversities that you overcome, you still maintained a servant giver's heart, and you've always been, at this stage of your life, obedient to the word of God that you're hearing come through you. And even when you take a pause and go, you still marinate on it and then act upon it. So you're still doing, you know, God's favor, which is why you continue to be blessed in all the ways that you are, because you're doing what you're supposed to. When you were telling your story about the lipstick, it reminded me, you know, my grandmother, she lived to be 101, and she was still quilting, you know, 2 weeks before her death. And but every day, even at 101, she would put on her red lipstick, regardless of any other makeup. She would always make sure that her hair got done, and she'd put on her lipstick. So I know that it's very vital to the feminine world, to, you know, connect with that. But it's not just painting on a face. It's actually, there's a psychology behind what you said, connecting with the color and the feeling that you want to evoke, and, you know, the essence that you want to bring. So you are getting to coach them, but you're getting to also coach them on their mindset, their limiting beliefs, their, you know, fears and doubts, all the things that I coach on, only you coach on through lipstick with, you know, your clients. I think that's fascinating that, you know, you can just take an ordinary product and turn it into a gift to these women. So
it is. And you know, initially, if I'd have overthought it, I would have probably talked myself out of it, because it seems like, what, you know, like what? And the reality is, like, in our group, I did so much healing through taking photos of myself after I had been cheated on, and I needed to build my self-esteem. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I was ashamed. I felt, you know, not enough, all these things. And so I went through the work of taking pictures of myself so I could fight to see my beauty. I could fight to love myself. And when we do these challenges, I want them to take pictures of the color they have on. And it's amazing in the beginning of, like, you know, some don't even like to wear lipstick. Some, oh my gosh, I don't even take pictures of myself. And by the end, it's like they're giving me different angles and different lighting, but it's watching this person bloom and blossom. And if that's the way that it happens, then how fun, like how much fun. So it's been amazing to me to be able to do the work that I enjoy, and to watch people's confidence and self-esteem come up, because that touches every other area in their life. But yet we're just having our girl time in our group. So it's been
well,
good.
I know that there are some ladies out there who, you know, they, like you said, they don't like to wear makeup, they don't like to wear lipstick, and that's great. As a matter of fact, I think my wife is most beautiful when she doesn't have it all on, but there's still a connection and a desire there to embrace who you are, even if it's without the makeup. Embrace that beauty that's there. And so you can still, you know, educate and coach, even if they choose not to be a lipstick wearer. So
yeah, and absolutely, because I have like just healing lip creams, I have sugar scrubs, like I clear, you know, stuff that's clear, but you still feel different when you at least put like a clear something, you know, you just do. And the other thing, I mean, we're gonna probably talk on cosmetic, but as we age, so many people worry about lines around their eyes and their chin, you know, but your lips age too. This goes for men too. Like your lips age too, and right around, like they get thinner. So it's like, you know, if you can keep moisture in them and keep hydrated, you know, everybody's doing all these eye creams and all this stuff, but it's like they forget, take care of your smile too, because it can keep you youthful. So to me, it's all about the smile, just finding that joy from within.
Well, you've transformed not only your business, your essence, but now tell me a little bit about the radio show and how you got involved with that. And I know that your significant partner is miles away, Hawaii, I believe, right?
Yeah, we're 5,667 miles away.
Yeah. And yet you make it work. So A, how did you make that connection? And B, how are you making it work? So tie in the radio and that, because I think they're hand in hand.
Yeah. So the connection first, we'll go there because that connection started first. We just connected on Facebook. We connected, he friend requested me, and he's in that speaking space and the coaching, and he works with youth and generational cycles. And for me, I come from my trauma, my hot mess, you know, all of that stuff. So we just connected, friends. And I don't know, just the energy just vibed. So we messaged, and it was all good. He's in Hawaii. I'm in Indiana, 5,667 miles away. And he's also 19 years older than I am. So there was not any idea of anything beyond just like, hey, we're in the coaching space. We're in the speaking space. I love supporting people. I love meeting people. And I was good. I didn't need nobody in my life. I'm doing my thing. I'm working. And Daryl, you've seen me for years. Like, I'm good. Like, and so I think that allowed me to feel comfortable just to meet a friend. And as we got closer, and he learned of my husband that died on Christmas Eve, then I learned of his wife that died on Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
And so that was like a commonality, and there were just different things that we really connected on. And then just the comfort level, I ended up getting, I had a cousin that passed away right around New Year's Eve, and he had a grandson that passed away around New Year's Eve. And so we just kind of connected on different emotional pieces, and I felt extremely comfortable because, again, it was not anything that I felt I had to put my guard up and my defenses up. And I ended up coming down with COVID after traveling for my cousin's funeral services. And coming home, I got COVID, and he messaged just quite a bit, knowing, you know, because we were friends on Facebook, so he could see I was stuck in my room, and we just got into conversation, and it was like, what am I feeling here? Like, what is this? And we both come from the school of like, I don't know if we can cuss on here, but for me, it was just like, no bullshit.
Yep.
I'm not into games. I'm not into playing, like, we're going to do this or what? And so for us, it was more of like, we vibed, our values, our vision, so many things aligned. And it was a total divine connection. And I like to say, so many times, if we keep looking for what we want, and we say, this is what I want, this is what I want, there's so many times that we do not receive what God sends because he knows what we actually need. Mm-hmm. And so I say that, like, God provided everything I needed, which gave me much more than I ever knew I wanted. And the distance, okay, this is going to crack you up, because when I started telling my sons are older, and I'm like, you know, I don't, you know, they're like, Mom, you need to get back out there. You know, I'm like, I need somebody that I can like we can vacation, or we can meet up at places that doesn't need to be in my space every single day. I'm like, I'm building a company. I'm working. And so I'm like, I can't have somebody that needs me like every single day. I don't have that capacity to share. And I'm like, but that still wants to be with me, you know? So I have this list and my boys are like, yeah, good luck with that, Mom. And the reality is, for God to have connected us, he's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. We engage every single day, and we've had to get to know each other on a deeper level than just physical every day. So it's actually beautiful. And now we get to plan, you know, we met up in St. Louis, we met up in Vegas, we're picking our next, you know, where we're going to meet next. And so I'm building, he's building, we're connected, we're solid, it's working. It's and I find him so adorable. And to me, it's like, if I would have looked at the age difference, I would be missing out on so much joy and laughter in my life. And that's what I want. You know, I want laughter, I want happiness, I want joy. And I don't know, God said, here you go.
I think it's beneficial for us to determine what we want or what we desire, but we need to leave the how it comes to us out of the picture. You know, the packaging is never going to be like we envisioned it, but the essence of what we need is always going to be, you know, more beneficial to us. So I love
and I
that
think
you
you
did that.
nailed something real quick on the packaging. That happens even many times when we are praying for God to change something in our lives or to bring an opportunity in our lives. But because it doesn't come in that bow and gift wrapped or blinging lights, we think, we bypass it and then go back to like, God, please give me a sign. And he's like, I just did. But you know, it didn't look like what you did. And so you don't see it, you know? And so it goes both ways, I think.
Yeah, I think we are way too rigid in our demands, because then it doesn't become a prayer or even a conversation. It becomes a petulant demand, you know, has to look this way. So tell me about the radio show.
So Radio Connected, so kind of how Charles and I met was, I had a message from my GOD. And because I could kind of sense, like, I always called him my dear future husband. I would always write to my dear future husband. For like 3 years, I've been writing to my dear future husband, and I kept focusing on 2024. So as 2023 was approaching, I could feel this energy shifting, and God actually brought up some like relationship conversation. And I was going to go live, because I go live on my page like all the time. And I thought, no, I want to open this up for discussion. So I opened it up to singles over 40. And I said 40s and 50s. And that's when Charles chimed in and he's like, what about us 60s? I'm like, well, I wasn't thinking 60, but yeah, I guess, you know, I mean, so that kind of started the conversation too. So this discussion, there were like 40 people that were willing to join this panel discussion. So I'm like, okay, some people need to talk about the hot mess that it is in this area. And 10 ended up coming on because the day and the time worked for that. So I ended up creating this group called Relationships. And through that group, I had been on the radar for from a radio show. We just couldn't lock in, like, what is it going to be, right? So the relationships group, the panel discussions coming on, talking about things real and raw, led into this radio station. As my lipstick company is growing, for me to feel like I've got a handle on everything, I'm tying everything to the lipstick. So the podcast radio is now called Tipsy Lips, where we spill the truth. Okay, so, and it's sponsored by my radio show, or by my lipstick company. So it's amazing at how you can layer things and simplify, yet do more. So by me focusing on the lipstick company, but still wanting to get the message out through relationships, we now have Tipsy Lips, which is on TuneIn Radio, YouTube, streams live on Facebook and Spotify. So it's been an amazing journey, and it's all happened in a short amount of time because I let go. I let go. And
You took your ego out of it and you just started to walk the courageous path of obedience. So if we look back, when your husband passed away and you found out that he cheated on you, and then you created your nonprofit, for helping others who lost someone on, that time frame. The life you're living now, do you think that it's more or about what you envisioned it would be as you were picking up those broken pieces of your life at that time that we talked about last time?
Oh my gosh, so much more, and absolutely nothing that I would have ever envisioned. You could have asked me, I wrote my book called Broken Stronger, and even that is evolving into the Mariposa effect, that the process in the book, but to just a virtual event. And that's all I'm doing with it. Like, I went into all of this healing, wanting to work in toxic relationship, narcissism, all of these places. And I think what happens for a lot of us healers is we want to help everyone while we're going through it ourselves.
Yeah.
And there comes a point where you realize you had to get through it. And there are places that people really can't help. There are places you really have to get through in order to get to that next place. And I wanted to carry everybody. I wanted to just absorb it all. And it was actually preventing my growth. Now, it's not to say that I created like ebooks and resources and things for free, like have this, even a book on how betrayal can block your success. And it's all just free. Just have it, just take it. But when you're ready, now let's get into the process of working. And so when I realized, like, I saw myself, just working in this pain to power, but I realized I needed to use my journey to support myself and do something. I needed fun back in my life.
Yeah.
So I never would have envisioned a lipstick company that's already 2 years grown. We're in over 27 states, Hawaii and Puerto Rico now. Radio show. Like, I would have never written this plan out for myself, but I never lost sight of the work and the purpose. It just had to start working for me differently. But I never would have envisioned being in a relationship with somebody this many miles away, this big of an age difference, just any of it. None of it. I could have never even, it wasn't in my plan.
But you said something that I think is vital, because when we're going through our mess, when we're in the middle of our storm and we're looking around at the, body count and the damage and all the other crap that we have to pick up from, we sit in it for long enough that we get accustomed to it. We get accustomed to the pain. We get accustomed to the misery. We get accustomed to the carrying the heavy load. And we do it long enough to where we start to feel guilty about even having fun, about even smiling. I'm supposed to be this damaged, broken person. How dare I laugh? And when you can actually fully heal and realize that the laughter and the joy is a part of the healing and then moving on, and I've said this before and I say it all the time, because part of my goal is to help my clients turn their scab into their scar, so that they're no longer picking at it and wounded from it, and it just becomes a tapestry of your life. And when you can get to that point, that's when the joy comes back. And it's weird when we first start having fun again. We're like, oh my God, what's all this, right? But I think it's a vital indication of yep, I'm healed from that one.
Well, and I think for me, where I had to get was, that was actually a responsibility that if I'm claiming to be able to help these people in this space, I gotta live in that other space now. I have to be that inspiration to say that it is dark, it is heavy, it does hurt, it does suck. There's days you're not going to want to get up. There's days you're going to make progress and you're going to slide back down, but keep going. And to me, it's okay to have fun. To me, it's okay to smile, but it took me a long time to own that and to be okay with, okay, I felt like if I move over here, I'm leaving them all behind. And the reality is, absolutely no, I'm not. I am here, I am, but I'm providing help in a different way. And I'm not trying to fix it. To me, I'm like, let's just have you feel good for today. Get that lipstick on, smile today. And that's the furthest we have to go. But I think it was a responsibility that I held, that if I claimed to help them in this space, I need to get beyond it. I need to heal through it. And I feel like God has done all of this, but I've walked it blindly. I literally can say there are so many things, even just this past year, with my own kids, with my own family, with my own finances, with my own health, that I feel like I gotta walk through this fire again. Like I'm still going, but the beauty of it is, every time you do, more of that stuff just melts off.
Yeah.
And the essence of who we are is beautiful. So
yeah, it's the new layer of excavation. And I say this often, it's okay to rest. You just can't camp. Like, okay, we'll pause where you are. And as you know, Elsa has been sick for a long time, and there are times where I've had to remind her that your 100% today is going to look different than what it was yesterday. And sometimes people worry about, oh well, I didn't have 100%. But if you only have 40% of your capacity and you're giving 40%, you gave 100% of what you can do, so you have to have that grace that every day is going to look different. Do whatever you can today, not based on what you did yesterday. And if it's better, great. If it's not quite as good, that's fine. But whatever your 100% looks like, be okay with that, but just show up 100%.
Yeah, for sure. And that's perfect timing. Like this week, I have autoimmune and chronic illnesses and stuff. And so this week, I mean, there was a day I literally slept till 3 p.m. because that was all I could do. And could I have beat myself up? And sure, I could have, but it's like, well, I obviously needed rest. And so you just go again. And I think we just need to be kinder to ourselves. Ultimately, man, we're all just on this journey. Like we're on this journey. And if we woke up today, then today's the day, and let's just do it. And hopefully we wake up tomorrow, but there's going to be a day where we don't. And I think being touched by death, with my husband, I take that as a blessing. I use it as a blessing. Death enters my mind every single day, not because I'm focused on it, but because I'm reminded that it can be, you can wake up for breakfast and by lunch, because I saw it, I lived it. And do your best. And even if your best is sleeping all day, then hey, enjoy it, do it.
Yeah, just do it with grace.
Do it with grace.
Now that we've progressed through, if you look back at the Elena who grew up in wealth, grew up with all this stuff, but was still ashamed of it. You talk about the little ring you wore, and how you didn't even, you were kind of ashamed to have the stuff you had. If you look at that little girl and you look at the Elena of today, what would you tell that little girl?
I would tell her to look in the mirror, and that's what matters most. I would let her know that there are going to be times you're going to have a lot of stuff, and there are going to be times you're not going to have very much stuff. But regardless of what you have, it's not going to make a difference to what value that little girl has looking in the mirror. You know, I think it's a hard concept to teach someone young, but I think that there's other ways to reinforce that, you know, and just even starting to say those mantras, you're beautiful, or I love your hair, or look at how pretty your smile is. Like if you could even teach young ones to start speaking positivity into themselves at a young age, how different that would be. And if I'd have known that all this stuff that I was seeing and being given and value being placed on, because once it was gone, then I felt I had no value. And that led to a roller coaster of activity, emotions, all kinds of stuff. So I think I would just tell her, no matter if you have this or you have this, what matters the most is who's looking at you in the mirror, and get to love her.
And as we kind of wind this second half down, what's a piece of advice other than what you just said, because I think that's applicable to that little girl and to others. What's a piece of advice that you would give someone trying to conquer their whatever they're battling with, to get on to the next level, to find that joy again?
Two quick things. The first one is one that God told me after I found out about the affair, that when I wanted to know what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? What could I have done differently? All these things, right? And I couldn't ask because he was dead. And when God said, stop wasting precious time asking questions, you know, you will never get answers to. And I think we all know those. We all know if you get real with yourself and you're asking these questions or you're wondering these things, can you really get an answer? And if you can't, stop wasting your minutes. That's huge. And the other piece is just to always remember that what you feed will flourish and what you neglect will die. So if you're feeding the worry, if you're feeding the coulda, woulda, shouldas, if you're feeding, you know, the going back in for more bad treatment, like if you're feeding this negativity, that's the piece that will flourish. But what you neglect will die. And so to me, I have just learned to feed positivity. Even it's not saying the day is perfect, and it's not saying everything is going right all the time, but I feed positivity. I feed hope. I feed trying and going again. And I neglect the worry and the what ifs, and if it's going to work, is it not? You know, the fear. I try to neglect that as much as possible, because when you feed the good stuff, you see more of it, and that's just what grows in your life.
Well, I appreciate all that you do, and I appreciate the light that you shine into this world. I asked you last week, I'm going to ask you this week, you know, what's a warrior spirit mean to Elena?
Warrior spirit, and I think I said the last time, I absolutely love that name. So you nailed it. A warrior spirit is the one that refuses, no matter what, to stop. No matter what. I mean, you know, you envision, I see it as that person that has just gone through the biggest beat downs and in the mud and exhausted and, like, you know, just running on empty, but refuses to stop and eventually crosses that finish line or reaches the peak or wherever the goal is for you. But because you will show up bruised, bloody, scarred, sweaty, tears, like you're going to show up a hot mess, but by God, that's the warrior spirit right there.
Well, I appreciate you being in my tribe and being a part of the warrior spirit. I love what you're doing and what you stand for. And, you know, it's a pleasure. I thank you for, you know, part 2, and, you know, keep growing and keep smiling.
You too, my friend. You too. Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.